What's up? What's up? How's it going, everybody? My name is Jay Heat, and I have a special guest with me today.
What
How
is
you doing?
up?
I
Oh, I'm feeling the heat. I am feeling the heat.
You know what? I'm still appreciative to the intro. Shout out to Comics League for putting that together. Jared from Comics League for putting this together for me. Just one more time, bear with me.
I
And I
mean,
got
yeah,
a
Comics League certainly did most of the work, but I also say it was group effort between all three of us.
I agree, man. In the flaming touch effect, nice touch. It was a very really brought it out.
Well, that was Jared's idea. Honestly, I just polished whatever ideas he had. He was the one who did most of the work.
Credit all the same to you, brother. Credit all the same.
All right.
And well, before we get started, quick plug: Dynamic Duo is delayed. I'm trying to set that up with Kid Takeoff to see whether to fit his schedule. So I will up post in the community tab when that is coming out. And a quick plug, and just to get out of my system now, man, Budokai Tenkaichi 4. I just can't help myself. 16 years, 16 freaking years.
Oh.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man.
I appreciate the hype. I love passion. I love people being passionate for stuff. And while I myself am not interested in the game, like the fact that you're so excited, that makes me happy.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. But
I hope you
okay.
enjoy the game.
I hope so too. I'm $60 for pre-order.
Wow.
Oh man, I made that mistake once before. Gotham Knights. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But back to Screecher.
Mm-hmm.
Man, spoilers ahead. What made you think of come up with Screecher? Like what came to your mind as you were piecing this series together?
Well, basically, I was trying to like kind of do my own kind of like Batman kind of thing. So I basically kind of combined elements of like Batman, Moon Knight. Well, it's as far as the Batman stuff, a lot of it's very like Batman slash Batgirl, Moon Knight, and just honestly, I like to write what I know.
Man, amazing. I've also been hearing online where you've been getting a lot of Arrowverse comparisons.
That part is partially self-inflicted because the trailer is obviously kind of aping off of the Arrow intro, where like, um, I literally just kind of took the season one Arrow theme for the trailer and just kind of like swap out the words for like Screecher words, and I paid like a voice actress to do it, so it's like that's I that much. So I would say that's partially self-inflicted.
Well, one thing's for sure, you definitely brought back Alfred in comics. How does it feel?
Pretty good. Yeah, so like the Alfred character, Scotty, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you might pick up that he's based off of the Brigadier.
Definitely, man. I actually did catch up to Doctor Who. I kind of fell off after the 10th Doctor in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and
Yeah.
then it just kind of fell from there. And don't get it twisted. This has nothing to do with the new stuff. I personally fell off like way before that, but I could definitely tell there was a decline with new trends.
Yeah, it's just my thing is like I watched a lot of the Ninth Doctor and I liked it, but almost all of my Doctor Who knowledge comes from the fact that like I had a best friend for like 7 years who was a big Doctor Who fan, and then like I dated like this huge Whovian back in 2018. So like most of my knowledge comes from osmosis. I like the series. I appreciate it. I just never really got too big into it myself.
Understandable, understandable. But who knows? Maybe I can appear as a certain British occult on your series in issue 4 or 5.
Hmm. My own version of Constantine. That's a possibility.
Bullocks. Oh bloody hell! The whole lot of you.
I will make sure he says that.
Appreciate it, man. But in general, this definitely Avery definitely feels like not like someone who's delivering a hand me down, but is definitely trying to make something her own. And
Yeah,
I've been getting a lot of detract. This is a better Batwoman than Batwoman. Like seriously, like this at
that was
first.
kind of my intention. Like honestly, I wanted to take a lot of the tropes that people hate, like mantle passing, girl superheroes, and just a lot of the stuff that a lot of people deride, and I wanted to be like, hey, it's not that these themselves are bad; it's that people.
Oh, excuse me a second.
Oh,
Continue.
oh, well, I guess it's the Phoenix Press show. Hi, how you guys doing? I'm your host, Nick from the Phoenix Press. Jay Heat is temporarily inconvenienced, so now this is my stream. How are y'all doing? So just to give you guys some air filling time, Screecher is not just the only comic I do. I'm also known for Torrent Samurai and Product Access. In fact, I'm currently working on Torrent Samurai issue 3 right now.
Sounds like an awesome time.
Hey, I was just filling the air for you.
Appreciate it. But did you have any certain inspirations from the CW in creating and setting the stage for Avery Fletcher and Screecher?
Well, if we're gonna go, of course the Arrowverse, but really just the first 2 seasons of Arrow, which were like the only good ones. Some people said there were some Flash influences. I would say some stuff kind of came in subconsciously. Like I know one person compared Avery to Raven from Titans. I will say it wasn't a deliberate choice, but like seeing as how I'm a huge Teen Titans fan, and just looking at Raven, you can kind of see. I would say Raven subconsciously crept in when I was designing the character. The Flash influences definitely come from like parent in jail trying to free them. I don't think that was a deliberate conscious thing, but like yeah, it was definitely another like subconscious thing where I subconsciously kind of just brought it in.
I can believe that. And I just want to go into a quick side topic. How do you feel about Titans, like the live action show in general?
I think it's overall a rough show. I think they like the costumes for the most part are really freaking good. Like they're better than anything Marvel does, that's for sure.
Definitely.
I feel like the first season is very very rough. I wasn't a fan of Starfire, but she did kind of grow on me. I think I've now come to the conclusion that like Anna Diop is actually a really good actress. Uh, some of the stuff she says I don't like, but that's more the scriptwriter's fault than hers. And I think the problem I have with her in season 1 was her costume. They dressed her like a freaking hooker, but like if you look at the later seasons, she's a lot better and a lot more. It's more in the tolerable range in my opinion. In my opinion.
Technical difficulties on my end. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right, man.
But yeah, Anna Diop has definitely got a lot of flack when Titan season 1 rolled around. Now,
Yeah.
nothing against the actress. I'm sure she's a great lady, but you gotta give me this. The comic designers were straight hacks. Like I've seen cosplays better than this.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
hold
like
on.
and the thing is, I've seen black ladies cosplay Starfire better than that.
Hold on, I just want to show this right quick. Give me just a second. Good thing I'm not risking getting demonetized. Control yourself, Nick.
to do that at least once. You know it.
I know you did.
Oh, by the way, for the record, for those who don't know, this is me just like I have a closed fist, and then I'm just using my palm to smack the top of it. I'm not actually doing what you think I'm doing, what the sound is made to make you think I am.
Yeah, I think
just setting the record straight. Just setting the record straight.
Man, I am popular today. Hold on.
Oh wow.
Someone's selling something. You know how telemarketers are.
Yeah, always when you're trying to do something, people tend to pop up. I'd set your phone like silent, for the rest of the stream. That's my suggestion.
Definitely. But your Screecher series has definitely taken off. Are you actually considering a new campaign for issue 2 and giving as a double pack, or are you just keeping each issue their own separate campaigns?
I actually will be doing a issue 2 campaign for Screecher this fall. Yeah, right now I am focused on Turn Samurai issue 3, and I will have a catch-up tier for Screecher so that you can grab issues 1 and 2. So if you missed it on the first campaign, you'll get another shot.
Sounds like a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead and remove this. But my beef with Titans more so stems from season 4 itself, where you definitely feel like it's a retread, if that makes sense. Like more special effects, more focus on Azareth and dark magic, and
yeah, just try and chew your food first, then talk.
Yeah, but excuse me, I don't know. I'm lagging for some reason. I already finished my food, but anyway, the Titans to me, they're a fan. Despite all the melodrama, despite all the antics, they're an ensemble in of themselves.
Yes,
and no matter the generation, there's always that certain Nick. There's always that tight. Got it. But
the
to make
Titans
it along,
are tight.
Titans together, I was going to say, but thank you for the double entendre.
Well, no, I was just going to say they're tight, close knit as a family. I've met nothing dirty behind it. You're the one who imposed that, you dirty bastard.
You're really lucky I don't have clips yet.
You don't have some? Get some.
But I will say this. I don't even know why I keep bringing it up into existence, but I'm still reminded of it to this day. 1, Teen Titans Academy sucked. And 2, Tom Taylor can't write an ongoing to save his life. I'm just saying.
Well, he does. Elseworld's really good.
Elseworld is like, okay, Elseworld's like is creative liberty. Go ahead. That's one corner of DC or Marvel. Basically, your own pocket, your own. What's the thing you use your canvas on it for painting? Your own chapel, something like that.
Well, a canvas is what you use to paint on, so you're on the right track.
You get what I'm saying? That's your own canvas. That's your own knit. As long as you're using the license of DC characters, you can do what you want. Whereas an ongoing, not only you have to find a balance between fan expectation and a good story, you actually have to keep it entertaining and engaging. Mm-hmm. Dragging out a monthly series on an 8.5 publicity stunt does not a good and entertaining story make.
Yes.
Say what you will about Son of Kal-El and the PR. First of all, the agent was Bendis. Editorial just tried to seize an open opportunity out of it. So I'm not going to blame Taylor for something Bendis did. And he is getting his pity, what I like to call his pity miniseries with Adventures of Superman, tying back his Earth 2 saga, Son of Kal-El, and kind of using Injustice as a hook. That way you still have some engagement with your readers and keep them invested. Mm-hmm. Unlike Titans Academy, who completely ignored the canonization or canon of an established character from the animated series of a generation. You had Red X, the golden ticket. And I would argue, Nick, you want to go into more detail on this? I'm starting to have an aneurysm. Just even mentioning Titans
I
Academy.
mean, I've actually never read Titans Academy, so I can't really comment on it.
You magnificent bastard! I would not recommend Titans Academy. I would just watch one of Wes from Thinking Critical. Shout out to his video, and save on his review of the series and save yourself the time. It's not.
Is that where they introduced Red X?
Yes,
I think we talked about it on Comics League, where Red X would be a perfect identity for Tim.
we did briefly, and I'm
like
actually
honestly, it just makes all the sense because like Red X, it doesn't have it has the red, but also the fact that it's not called Red Robin, it's not, you don't have as much confusion. It's like it's like Red Hood, you know, where it's like it ties in with the theme, but it's still distinct.
It's definitely a good compromise given the circumstances, but it's still a hand-me-down of Dick Grayson. So you're still gonna. So it's kind of a same.
Not in universe technically, because that was like the Teen Titans cartoon universe. We could make it in the main continuity that Tim built the suit.
Okay.
You know, because remember, Red X is, you know, would have been introduced in this. I don't know.
I'm actually working on a script for an upcoming video about the Night Owl identity we did on Comics League, where I go into more detail about the Tim Drake redundancy. Maybe we can collab again on that one.
Perhaps. I'm open.
What would you say is your favorite Titans incarnation out of anything in media?
The Marv Wolfman, George Perez run of the 80s.
The original storyline, not Titans 03. Titans 03.
Technically, that in itself is a relaunch because they did Teen Titans back in the late 60s. You know, and it kind of petered out towards like I think early 70s. Fun fact, you know Mad Mod from the cartoon? That character is actually originally from the original Teen Titans run.
Really?
Yeah, and I think Marv Wolfman actually did write for the original Teen Titans run. But yeah, Teen Titans itself, like this is where like a lot of the X-Men comparisons to that run of Teen Titans come in, because there are a lot of surface level similarities between X-Men and Teen Titans. But Chris Claremont literally said it the best at a convention at some point, where he said the only similarities are that they're both books that had runs that failed and they got relaunched to great success. That came straight from Chris Claremont's mouth.
Truer words have never been spoken.
But I think the big reason that they keep getting compared is like X-Men was the top book of the 80s, and fun fact, Teen Titans was actually DC's top book during the 80s.
Yeah, even surpassing Batman and the Justice League. Wait, Justice League didn't have a title in the 80s. They did have Grant Morrison's JLA in the early 90s.
But the fact that Teen Titans was like their hot seller, at least as far as the early 80s were concerned, like that's like they were going toe to toe with X-Men, which was red freaking hot in the 80s.
Understandable. And I just feel like, especially now with this new Dawn of DCU initiative, Titans are just becoming an afterthought, because even though read the Glass run at your own risk, because a lot of it was just editorial mandated baggage for 5G, but that roster and that team gets literally nothing to do because of the stain of that run.
The early 2000s run ain't bad, I will say that.
Which one?
The early 2000s run.
Oh, the Jeff Johns 03 run. It wasn't too bad. It was like,
because basically you had Young Justice was like the Titans team of like the late 90s, and then Young Justice ended, and that kind of it had some spillover into Teen Titans, you know.
So instead of another Titans book, they just combined the two teams.
Or kind of, yeah.
But with the Teen Titans acting as mentors.
Well, yeah, basically the old school, like, see, the thing is, the Titans are like the older members, like the original crew as adults. So when they do that, it's called the Titans. But when it's the Teen Titans, it's more just younger sidekicks.
Interesting. And I do remember a Titans book in Rebirth, which sold pretty well, but ultimately was canceled.
Yeah, they've done Titans a couple of times. Like, I know there's like a late 90s Titan run. Like, for example, you know, like the whole Cheshire Arsenal like romance thing. That's
I
actually
remember.
that's actually a storyline from Titans.
Really, I thought that was a Young Justice exclusive.
No, if you go back and read, it's like a bunch of the Titans comics from the late 90s. It basically does deal with that storyline with the Arsenal and Cheshire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I just believe that if DC, now Marvel definitely has a branding problem, especially DC just relies too much on cosmic events and crises to get themselves out of a jam. But Marvel can barely get a decent comic book event off the ground.
Well, the problem is, in the 2010s, Marvel was doing an event like every other week, and it just got tiresome. See, an event should be, and what I'm about to say is a really radical notion, an event. Like, you should be doing an event no less like every 5 years at the absolute most. Like, I'd say an event, like, honestly, if you're gonna do like the big events, should be once every 10 years. But like at the very most, every 5 years.
DC established this well with the crisis rule. Every 5 years, they would have a crisis or crisis equivalent. Yeah, 1985, the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. Around 1990, you had Zero Hour Crisis in Time. Then, about 2005, you had Infinite Crisis, which was the official indirect sequel.
Well, they've had
Then,
other events too. Like in the late 90s, they did the 1 million initiative. I don't know if you remember that, where
I
like DC's 1 million, where it's like issue 1 million of their comic, where it's like a million months into the future.
mm,
Yeah, like they had future versions of the characters were like really far in the future.
oh, so that's what Superman 1 million, Flash 1 million. That's where all them come from.
Yeah, and like Batman 1 million was basically a person with like like a robot with 1200 IQ that guarded a prison on Pluto or whatever.
Could we expect something like that in the future issue of Screecher, or is that something not even in the works?
I will say, because like all of my comics take place in the same universe, I'm basically positioning. So, Charred Samurai takes place in the year 2100.
Okay.
Um, I'm basically positioning it as like my Beyond verse. Like that's
Mm,
like I'm treating it like it's like for example, you might see Screecher 2100, where you see like a character taking up the mantle of Screecher in 2100. Stuff like that.
okay.
Um, you know, so you might see storylines like that, and it's um, and then I plan on introducing more comic books that take place in this universe. You'll see more crossovers.
Man, it sounds great. If there are anything like this first issue, we're in for a wild ride.
Oh yeah.
But what comics have you seen or read recently? Are you more of a Marvel guy? Or are you strictly indie?
Uh, DC when I feel like going mainstream, but like I do like my indies. Um, Probably be easier to list some of my favorite like not like but first of my favorite like just comic characters in general or read. I love Spawn. Let's see here, Witchblade. Nightwing's my favorite. Obviously, huge Batman fan. We mentioned Teen Titans. But on the Marvel side, I'd say I do like reading a good Daredevil story, Spider-Man, obviously, and like a bunch of the X-Men stuff.
Okay, I'm a big fan of Claremont as much as the next comic geek out there, or a true actual fan, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not like the Krakoa stuff. I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I don't think that's Claremont's doing though.
No, that won't be the first time a writer's vision got screwed over by editorial.
Yeah, I mean Hickman himself. I mean we talked about this on Comics League where Hickman had a real like Hickman's run of X-Men was like the first time in like damn near over a decade that X-Men actually was getting some buzz, and then they just shit-canned it.
I don't know. It's just that 2016 onward, everyone in Hollywood or anyone in the entertainment sphere lost their minds.
Yeah, let's not kind of get into that. I mean, that's a well trodden ground that we don't need to walk on.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, there's only so many times I can say the same thing in different words.
Yeah, but I definitely feel like we're at a point to where people are actually starting to be more aware of what's going on.
I would agree with that.
Now, granted, nothing too much has really changed about Mindy. Take Velma for example. Nothing has really changed with Mindy Kaling. She kind of like self-inserts herself into everything she does in some shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
But with Velma specifically, if you know this pitch is doo doo or dog or gonna be in the gutter, why greenlit it? If you're not gonna take the money, take the time to actually improve it and spend money on it, is it really worth greenlighting? Now I get it. Zaslav went on a commercial bloodbath and scrapped a lot of projects, and you needed something out for HBO Max, but I wouldn't have taken that gamble with Velma. Then
Well,
again,
the problem is the third Scoob movie or Scoob 2 was like just about done, and those movies I think, well, not like oh my god it's amazing, they're like it's not bad. I haven't seen them, but like from what I hear, people thought like they're not bad. Like I don't
yeah,
know.
it's just what people care about more than anything is actually being entertained. You can put your vision, you can put your perspective in your work. Just do it in a way to where it's not preachy or obnoxious. That's
Yeah,
all anybody's asking.
like I've said this so many times. They say, oh, art is political. Like art can be political, but it doesn't have to be. And then the other thing is like people don't mind political themes in their books. People don't mind even political ideologies they're not opposed to. People don't mind being challenged, but you've got to do it in a way that does not. It's not aggressive. It's not confrontational. It's like you have to. It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And the example that I always keep coming back to is the Twilight Zone. Though every episode of the Twilight Zone was basically a morality tale, but it was cloaked in science fiction, and it was presented in a way that wasn't condescending. It wasn't bashing you over the head. It was subtle. It was subtle. I mean, the subtlety went out the window once Rod Serling walked on screen, but you get my point.
Agreed. Agreed. I've actually seen a few episodes of the Twilight Zone myself. So
Oh, you need to watch it. Watch it. The classic '60s run is, of course, amazing. I haven't seen any of the '80s run, but I heard it was good. The 2000s run, I watched a good. It's actually surprisingly good. I haven't seen the recent reboot they did for CBS All Access. I when I saw the previews, they said, oh, there's going to be an episode inspired by the rise of Donald Trump, and I'm like, oh my god, that I just like, because like that's the whole storyline was so played out even by then. Sorry.
and and fatigue. And I just want to get to this next topic, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, please.
MCU decline and fatigue, because Phase Four, I'm not gonna say it was bad. I'm not gonna say Phase Four was bad. I mean, She-Hulk itself was atrocious, but I'm not gonna say it was bad. They're obviously getting.
I as much as I want to jump on the MCU fatigue, MCU is going away. I must argue nuance to this argument because
Definitely.
Spider-Man No Way Home still did amazing. Spider-Man No Way Home still did $1 billion, and other superhero properties are still doing really good.
They're still relevant. I agree.
I would argue that it's superhero fatigue might be a part of it, but I also feel part of it is just lackluster product.
Definitely. That is definitely a concern, especially with both Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is going to be James Gunn's swan song with Marvel, and the rebranding of the DCU. Who's to say?
I'm pretty sure, like, I'm calling it right now. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to make $1 billion. I have no concern over that movie whatsoever. Guardians of the Galaxy is James Gunn's like happy place. Like he is, he it did it that he is so like, and if you want, and the thing is, look at the holiday special. He directed the holiday special, and that is like top tier Guardians content right there. Like that is really good, and that's recent. Like that's like that is probably the closest indication we'll get of how Guardians 3 will come out, and I'm like 100% confident Guardians will be a good product.
So do I. And I would argue, because you got to think of it like this. A lot of these projects are, especially live action, are pre-produced, rehearsed, choreographed, and edited in real time before you even so much as get a teaser out. So a lot of these lackluster projects are carryovers from certain trends we're not going to go deeper into from the past 5 to 7 years.
Well, a lot of it can be traced down to the fact that Kevin Feige does not really have as much of a direct hand on these as he used to. Now there's another lady who, like, you think Kevin Feige said some stupid stuff. This woman is like on a whole nother level, and she's influencing the day-to-day operations of the MCU. While Kevin is just like more of a studio head now and just kind of doing the general picture stuff.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Kevin Feige has done his due. And he should move up because he's actually accredited and he has merit.
Well, the problem is they hired someone who is literally affecting all this stuff and is making it actively worse. Like the fact that they announced, we're gonna pull back on Marvel and Disney has made some stupid decisions. Honestly, there's so much stuff you can say about Star Wars, but I'll say their biggest fault was they decided they're going to make a Star Wars movie every year, and as soon as I heard that, I added the addendum until people get tired of it, which it happened pretty quickly. People got tired of it pretty quickly. And it's like, and basically they killed Star Wars is a once in a generation event. Sorry, I'm sorry. I made this into a Star Wars thing.
No, go ahead. We're talking about a lot of topics today.
And Star Wars is a once in a generation event. You had it came out in the 70s, came out in the 2000s, and then it came out in the 2010s. It's every generation gets their trilogy.
Yes.
And that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with like other Star Wars content. It's just
and just a cheap dig. It is by court of law. The sequel trilogy sucks in the official document by court of law. But that dig aside, continue.
I will defend Rogue One to my death, though. I will defend that movie.
Oh, definitely. Rogue One was a masterpiece. Directly ties between I would argue Rogue One is a prequel. I mean, a direct prequel to A New Hope. Rogue One was pretty.
It literally is. Rogue One ends where A New Hope begins. It literally is.
I actually count that in my headcanon a separate production from the sequel trilogy.
Now J.E., can you allow me to do some really hot takes here for a second?
Go ahead, man. I'm not Comics League. I'm not gonna hold you back. I'm used to you by now. Go ahead. Just
okay. Let's not like knock on Jared. He's a great guy.
Definitely, Jared. If you're watching this, all the love in the world, man.
But basically, while sequel trilogy is indeed bad, there are elements of it that are good. Like I like the idea of Kylo Ren, like the whole unfinished gem, the burden of legacy. Honestly, the greatest tragedy of the sequel trilogy is there were good ideas in there that just got buried. And this is gonna say something that's gonna piss a lot of people off. I like The Last Jedi more than Force Awakens.
To be fair, Force Awakens was a copy paste of A New Hope.
Force Awakens is literally they just took the script of A New Hope, they used whiteout on the title and then put Force Awakens on there.
Literally.
I mean, they changed more to it than that, but it is such a carbon copy. They copied the script so badly. I'm not a fan of Rey. She did get better in the films, but marginally at best. Like the fact that she just, learn force stuff through osmosis was so freaking stupid. And the thing is, one of the bigger problems with Star Wars was they decided to have 3 different directors and they had no idea what the heck.
Mystery box.
Well, mystery box storytelling is fine. It's just you gotta pay off what you're gonna do.
Well.
And J.J. Abrams is notorious for presenting all these mystery boxes and never paying them off. I mean, look at Lost.
Now, Lost was the series of a generation. It just had high expectations. That was his biggest
And
flaw.
they fumbled the ball at the end really hard.
The finale.
Imagine if Lost had came imagine if Lost had came out now. Imagine the social media meltdown. Like, don't get me wrong, like social media existed when Lost went off the finale, but it was nowhere near what it is now.
Still better than the Game of Thrones finale. I had to.
I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can say to defend that. Like, my only hope is they're tossing around this idea of like a Jon Snow sequel series. I actually hope that happens to actually give some closure to that very like House of the Dragon.
Definitely
is really great. I love it, and it's actually brought back Game of Thrones. Like I am so like Game of Thrones was fucking dead for like a few years. And now that House of the Dragon has come out, it's basically revived Game of Thrones.
Definitely. Even though House of Dragons with the Targaryens is just a civil war to the point to where, at least from what I'm interpreting, I'm reading one of the books right now from what I'm interpreting.
Are you reading Fire and Blood?
I'm reading Fire and Blood currently.
Okay.
And from what I'm probably about halfway through the book, and from what I'm interpreting, it's not so much a petty blood feud, but it over escalates to the point where half of this didn't even need to be as bloody as it was. This is just pure ambition, and it blows up in everyone's faces.
Yeah, like literally the cause is not some fantastical, magical thing. It's literally human element. And that's what's fascinating about George R. R. Martin's work is these stories, while fantastical, are ultimately human tales. And these characters are so nuanced. Like, I love how even the worst characters get for example, get some little bits about them, like for example, Joffrey. He was like, hey, we should have a national army. Hey, we should have a national navy. Like, that was a good idea, you know. Or
Definitely.
the fact that Tywin, while a headstrong, you know, bastard that everyone hated, he's actually a good ruler. Like he's actually a gifted administrator, and when he's handed the king, shit gets done, and things actually are to run smoothly, you know?
And not to mention, and I'm the last person to really defend Joffrey. He was a great villain or a pseudo-antagonist.
Jackie Gleason played him to perfection. Like, seriously, if I ever meet
perfect
Jackie
casting,
Gleason,
perfect
I'm going to say how like, same thing with Lena Headey. She played Cersei to perfection.
Great performances by everyone involved. But I will say Joffrey was needed in relation to everything going on. But a lot of it was just the mannerisms and spectacle of how a 10-year-old will react to ruling and asserting the dominance of
a 10-year-old sociopath.
That's just how a 10-year-old will react in that situation. Granted,
like, a lot of it, the thing is, even Joffrey, like, you can actually look at his backstory and like the fact that like he was pretty much raised by Cersei and like Robert never really spent any time with him, and like a lot of it you could apply the shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of thing, where like if Robert had maybe spent more time with him, because Joffrey always wanted his father's love and approval. If you look back at it, if like Robert had spent more time with him, like take him hunting more, take him under his wing more, Joffrey might have been a halfway decent person. But like there's certain Cersei element there, and she's toxic. And you also got to realize Joffrey's not technically a Baratheon.
No, he's a lot of that. Okay, first of all, this was medieval times in the Slavic culture. That kind of thing in nobility happened all the time, regardless of era.
I mean, the incest, yes, but like these are twins.
I'm not condoning it by any means. I'm just saying that in that era, it was relatively common.
Well, okay. So in Game of Thrones, really the only people who married their relatives were the Targaryens. That was the only place where it was normalized. Now, it's like I'm sure, like But that it was only incest was only really a sibling thing. You marry your cousins, sure,
Yeah,
but like siblings was a no, and it's just like the whole like they're twins aspect is like it just that just makes it even more disgusting.
I agree. But in general, I just feel like Game of Thrones fell apart the more it deviated from the books because J.R.R. Martin is definitely taking his time, and this
Yeah,
happens to every writer over time. Your career takes off, you get some momentum, and you can't really match the same caliber as you did when you got to super
yeah, because
status.
like you know, like your first book, you have as much time in the world, and it's like any creative work, whether it be in a music album, a comic book, whatever. You have all the time in the world to make that first book as amazing as you want. You want to take 5 years? Like, for example, Tolkien, it took him 12 years to write Lord of the Rings. 12 years. I mean, time well spent. But like,
Definitely,
the thing is, once you have that first album or that first book and it's a hit, and they want to follow up, you probably have like year, 2 years, maybe tops, 3 years at the absolute most before people lose interest. And at that point, like you need to have an agent for that first book, but like that second agent, you're like, we need that second book, we need that second book, we need that second thing, and the pressure's on.
I agree. And I used to do a little bit of creative writing back when I was in high school. So I definitely can understand the intensity, at least to an extent. I'm not a fully commissioned writer such as yourself, but at least to an extent, I can relate to the intensity of writing, especially once you garner a fan base. Some would say Tolkien had taken too much time to the point where you could argue he's writing off the royalties. But I just feel like he's definitely at that period to where it's going to be a relative lack in quality compared to what has come before because
Well,
fan expectation is an ongoing battle as a
if you
writer.
want to talk about Tolkien for a moment, so
Oh,
you got
I'm
to
sorry,
realize,
J.R.R. Martin. Excuse me.
okay, because like Tolkien, he wrote The Hobbit, and like he came out in like 37, 38. And then he wrote Lord of the Rings basically through the 40s. 5 of those years was World War II, so I don't think anyone was really harping down his throat about Lord of the Rings.
No,
And like
I
The Hobbit was kind of a one-off book, so like
definitely.
so like yeah, I mean left it open for a sequel, but like if that was all they got, it still would have been a good, it would have been fine. Plus, 30s is not like I don't know, because like even like, if you want to talk about rabid fandoms, have you ever looked into like the Sherlock Holmes fandom of the 1800s?
Oh, that
Like Arthur Conan Doyle hated the character. Like he at one point, that one story where like him and Moriarty fall off of a reservoir. That was
that
his attempt to kill Sherlock Holmes, but he had to bring it back because of like this was in the 1800s.
and you saying he hated Sherlock Holmes?
Well, no, he hated it because of the rabid fans. Like
Oh,
Sherlock Holmes
definitely.
had a rabid fandom, and this is like the late 1800s. So fandom goes back a long time.
In just about any piece of work or medium.
Yeah,
And some
I know. We like to think that fandom spouted up in the 60s because of Star Trek. I mean, I'm sure that's when fandom really kind of started to hit quote unquote mainstream, but it's existed for a long time.
I agree. I agree. And sorry, I always get for some reason I get J.R.R. Martin and Tolkien mixed up. But I just
It's the R's. It's the R's.
thank you. But R. Martin is definitely at a point to where say Toriyama from going from the Cell Saga to the Boo Saga, pretty much the latter half of DBZ.
Mm-hmm.
To the It's not as drastic because it's not a change in tone, it's just a lack in quality. Now the Boo Saga definitely had some solid moments, but its narrative structure is nowhere near as tight and cohesive as Cell Saga and prior were.
Oh, you want a fun fact?
Go ahead.
So you know how like Dragon Ball was like kind of done for a while, and then
Yeah.
so after the live action movie came out that must not be named, it was so bad it actually got Toriyama like so bad he actually started doing Dragon Ball again, and that's how we got Battle of the Gods.
So you mean to tell me Toriyama was so pissed off from that movie, he was able to write an entire screenplay for Battle of Gods in less than 5 years?
Yes. There was some good to that movie. There was a silver lining.
The fact, and it's not even like they were trying to make a good attention either. That movie must not be made was just a cheap cash grab gone bad, and I mean bad. If you grew up in the early to mid 2000s and you saw that, oh god, I can only imagine if people saw that in the theater.
Bad. I mean, to be fair, that's not the first time something like that has happened. Like, Toho's reaction to Godzilla in 1997 or 98 was literally the Millennium series. Like, they launched Godzilla 2000 was literally a reaction to the American Godzilla of 98 or whatever. Like, actually, if you watch the Millennium series, they actually had several digs at it. There's, I think in Tokyo SOS, they like, oh, New York had a Godzilla? No, they thought they had a Godzilla, but it wasn't him. They released, and then like in Godzilla, like you need to watch in Godzilla Final Wars, which is like my favorite Godzilla movie. They actually had the American Godzilla in the movie. He was called Zilla, and he actually fought the original Godzilla, but the fight lasted like 20 seconds, never got a hit. It's so great. And then like the main antagonist, he's like, I knew that tuna eating lizard was useless. It's like, oh my god, Toho, you guys are fucking brutal. I love it. You need to watch Final Wars. It's so good.
I'll definitely give it a shot. But go ahead, continue.
No, I was done with what I was saying about like the Godzilla thing. Like, if you like seriously, I think you seeing the American Godzilla just get trounced by regular Godzilla. By the way, to a Sum 41 song. I could link you the scene, but I kind of want you to watch the movie.
I'll go and I'll track and watch the movie for myself. But man, you definitely gave me something to think about. But for real, all right, man,
I'm sorry, I'm all over the place.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. But hold on, give me a minute. What else? All right, we already covered DC and Marvel. We've covered entertainment. Jedi Knight Fallen Order. I know you're doing a playthrough on your channel.
Yeah, that's going pretty good. We're kind of trying to we've got some audio issues on my end. We're trying to iron out. We'll run that out, episode by episode. We're trying to kind of figure out like the sweet spot for that. But otherwise, things are going good. We're on Zepho. We got like halfway through it, and then we're gonna finish. That episode's gonna be going live this week, and then next week we'll be finishing up Zepho and kind of moving on. Oh my god, Jared is so brutal. He's so brutal, and honestly, I love it. It's kind of seeing a different side of him, and I'm enjoying it.
I'll be sure to check it out.
Thank you kindly.
But and just go back on the Star Wars right quick. The reason I say the reason it doesn't work, first of all, you can't treat Star Wars like a connected universe. It just doesn't work that way. They tried that with Legends in the form of the novels and the tie-in comics.
I say Legends worked. Like, I think it was like a loose connection where it's like
very loose.
They kind of just acknowledged certain things that happened, but like things kept, but also the fact that the thing is Legends actually played out over a longer time span, so like they could afford to jump around a little bit, and because things aren't happening right after another, you're kind of given some wiggle room for continuity.
Definitely, because I remember the Quinlan, not now I'm confusing the Jedi Master Quinlan Voss. It was a war after the original trilogy, but before
the Yuuzhan Vong War.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the New Jedi Order series of books.
The New Jedi. Thank you. And I remember that series when I was a kid. I was just like blown away. Like this is like. This particular species was completely could actually negate the advantage Force users will have. So you have Chewbacca and Han Solo, like this is their chance to shine. Like,
well, Chewbacca didn't last long in that series.
He didn't, but it was. I mean, come on, it was definitely their spotlight. They definitely took the reign in that series.
Well, Chewbacca got killed off in the first novel, Vector Prime.
True.
But yeah, and then they did Legacy of the Force, which is basically what the sequel series is very loosely based off of.
I will say this: you have Jay Skywalker, who is by open admittance a direct parallel to Anakin, and falls to the dark side purely for the sake of his family, trying to protect them from a coming conflict. To Kylo Ren, who is a raging emo, who may or may not have PTSD from Luke having a Force vision.
Well, here's the thing about Kylo Ren.
Please explain this to me, please.
Okay, I'm going to explain what I think they were trying to do with Kylo Ren. I'm not defending him. I'm defending the idea of Kylo Ren. I'm just making
Sounds
that
fair, perfectly fair.
Because Kylo Ren, whatever good ideas he had, the execution was poor. I think Adam Driver did the best he could with what he was given. I mean, Adam Driver is half the reason why I'm interested in the character. So I had to talk to him.
That is true.
And
and we are not acknowledging Raylos. You guys or continue.
less we say about Ray, the better. I mean, her storyline is just totally borked.
No, I said Raylo the ship. You gotta understand.
Honestly, I thought Kylo Ren could have been an interesting exploration into the burden of legacy. You know, like, I'm the grandson of Darth Vader. I'm the son of Han Solo, Princess Leia. My uncle was Luke Skywalker. Just the burden of this legacy that's upon you, and like you're literally one of the most powerful Force users in the galaxy, and like just like it's like it would be like, what if you were the grandson of what if you're the grandson of Joseph Stalin? You know, I'm avoiding enacting Gowen's law with this one. You know, like, how would you feel about like that kind of burden over your head about like, you know, like imagine your uncle was Ted Bundy. You know, I mean, I'm kind of going to some dark places here, but like, what my point is, these imagine you're a child and you're raised with like these stories of like, oh, they're a great person, they're this, they're that, you know. I mean, heck, I dealt with stuff like that on my own, I mean, much smaller scale. But growing up, you know, I was always like, oh, you're Tony's son, oh, you're Carla's son, oh, you're Nina's brother, you know. You know, I was always someone else's sibling. So I empathize with that kind of idea, and yeah, I think the idea was solid. It's just the execution was immensely flawed.
And Rian Johnson did not help.
Rian Johnson, while I give him some respect for at least trying something new, like trying new ideas, like, see, J.J. Abrams was completely derivative. Like, Last Jedi, for all of its faults, it's still the most original Star Wars movie. I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm not saying the original things they did was good. But what I'm saying is it at least tried something new. It failed, but it at least tried something new.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that, because we went from playing pure nostalgia, completely off the wall, to derivative in Rise of Skywalker.
Like, he tried to take it in a new direction, which that
True.
in of itself is fine. It's just the direction he took it was really fucking stupid. And also, it's like, why the fuck do you kill off the main villain in your second movie, you know, and just like literally, like, basically the biggest problem that Rian Johnson had is they might not have had a plan, but they had story threads that are obviously going to be carried over. And it's like Rian Johnson be like, oh, let me take your toys, and now let's smash in the ground a million pieces. Ha ha, I'm so original, I'm so subversive. It's subversion for the sake of subversion, and it's just like,
it's not set up, it's not established in a cohesive way, and it's just, and all subversion really is just unexpected plot twists. You still have to set it up and have it.
The thing is, like, Rise of Skywalker, I think the reason why it doesn't, like, Rise of Skywalker is obviously a million times worse.
The Clone Saga.
Well, it's there. They should have just they should have started with Heir to the Empire. I mean, they're going to do Heir to the Empire with the Ahsoka series finally, but that's my suspicion anyway. I say that because it's the right time frame. Thrawn is involved, and if you have Thrawn in a post-Empire period, you might as well just do Heir to the Empire.
But they couldn't do that because, one, they wanted to be as legally distinct from the Legends continuity as possible.
They own the Legends. There is no. They own the Legends. They can literally adapt any novel they want wholesale, and it's fine. The only problem they might have is paying an artist some money. But if Alan Dean Foster is that case, they have no problem screwing over the writers. So I don't think there's a legal problem with adapting any of this stuff. But they'll probably won't adapt Heir to the Empire wholesale, but they'll probably just take the bones.
True, and I just feel like with Kathleen Kennedy, especially when she took over Lucasfilm, I just feel like, at least this is just my opinion, I just feel like she just wanted to rebrand Star Wars wholesale. First of all, Star Wars works for everybody and connects people together regardless of generation. You already have a diverse audience in play. Does it have a male majority in terms of merchandise? True, but it still connects both genders. There's a reason tomboys exist. So I just feel like
Here's the biggest problem is they're trying to bring more girls into both Star Wars and this is let's kind of bring this into Marvel. So the biggest problem is they're trying to sell toys. And the problem is action figures on average, the girl characters do not sell well. And that is an objective truth. And they're trying to make these characters, it's just, for one thing, girls don't really buy action figures. I mean, some of them do, but on the whole, action figures are more of a boys thing. And young boys, on the whole, I'm generalizing here, do not buy female figures. And we can see this in the sales data. They've been trying to push this stuff for 10 years, and they're still struggling to push female toys on the market. They have to go to a point where they literally have to force these retailers be like, oh, if you want to carry Iron Man, you want to carry Captain America, for every 3 Captain America you buy, you have to buy 1 Black Widow. They're doing these practices. It's pissing off retailers, and that's why you have these large stocks, for example, I don't know if you saw, but the Ghostbusters 2016 action figures, they were hitting clearance before the movie even came out.
Oh, I remember that. That was a train wreck.
Yeah, and the Star Wars stuff was hitting clearance a week after. And
at least Prince Henry bounced back almost immediately.
You can still find Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens figures at Ollie's. Still to this day. I need to make a trip to my local Ollie's and just take pictures. I need to do that for content.
Please send them to me. I'll be happy to post them.
Oh, I mean, I have my own platform, but yeah.
Well, World Class Bullshitters has been covering that story for a good minute too. Shout out to him.
Yeah, I mean, there's Ollie's near my house that I can go to, so it's not really a distance thing. I need to do it one of these. I think I'm going to do it. I think it would, just be good content. Just take some pictures, post them on Twitter. I think people would enjoy that.
Definitely. But it's not even. There's nothing wrong with trying to sell specifically to sell merchandise, because you got to make product when you got to make product some kind of way.
Yeah,
and I understand that, but if you don't engage your demographic, if you don't have a hook, then what's the point of all this merchandise in retail? What's the point?
Fill shelf space. I know certain companies. I know a soda company tactic. The reason why there's 50,000 different flavors of Mountain Dew is they're trying to flood the shelves to inch out the competition. I know for chip makers, it's more of a food thing. They try to have all these varieties to kind of inch out the competition.
Food distribution is a little different, but I get your point.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm saying this might be the case. I'm just like using an example from another industry to say like speculate on what might be. And I'm not saying it is, and I'm saying this with a heavy dose of salt, that might be what they're doing, but I have no evidence to back it up.
I would compare that situation akin to Coke versus New Coke. Because if you remember the New Coke campaign of the mid to late 90s.
Well, to be fair, New Coke was just basically a response to Pepsi. Because, I'm sorry, you're triggering all my fountains of knowledge, so bear with me. So, like, for those who don't know, during the 80s, Pepsi was doing, like, this Pepsi challenge where, like, they'd had, like, these blind taste tests. And, like, people would be favoring Pepsi. So basically, Coke decided to create a new formula that tasted closer to Pepsi. Now, to go into the Pepsi challenge, the thing is, Pepsi on like a quick taste is what's favored. But if you actually like drink more of it, people tend to like favor Coke more. Like that's kind of like the reason why Pepsi was winning the challenge, because Pepsi is sweeter. I'm a Coke guy. I'm a Coke guy myself.
Pepsi is crisp. Coke is sweet.
I like Pepsi. I don't hate it. I mean, if you give me a Pepsi, I'll gladly drink it. I got no problem with it. It tastes good. I just prefer Coke.
Nothing wrong with that at all, man. Nothing wrong with that at all.
But yeah, and so they introduced Coke, and what Coca-Cola didn't really count on was people had an emotional attachment to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is as American as apple pie, and I say that with full sincerity. Like there's this big outroar, and I was watching like this documentary, and apparently they had psychologists sit in on the complaint calls, and the psychologists likened it to like those people were talking as if they had lost a family member.
Definitely, because you now this, I would argue that study works adjacent to nostalgia as well, because you can utilize nostalgia all you want. It's a good callback. It's something that you remember from your childhood.
I agree. I feel like we're reaching a point where nostalgia is being overused to the point of, like, honestly, I think it's starting to go beyond apathy into outright hatred. Plus the problem is, the creators of now are still kind of in 80s mode. There's been efforts to try and bring kind of more this, like we're halfway. We're kind of in a halfway point between 80s nostalgia and 90s nostalgia. But the problem is, we should be knee deep into 2000s nostalgia by now, to be fully honest.
Every bit.
Like for example, you ready for your old J-Heat?
K&D, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Jimmy Neutron, Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom.
This year is the 20th anniversary of Teen Titans cartoon.
Yep.
Oh, funny you should mention Courage the Cowardly Dog, because I got Courage the Cowardly Rat in my lap right now.
I can't do it. I can't do it like Eustace. I can't do it. But
yeah. But yeah, like trying to think. There's been some attempts for 2000 nostalgia. Like they tried to do that Winx Club thing on Netflix that failed.
Winx Club got a revival?
Yeah. It was a live action series on Netflix, and it kind of went the Riverdale route. It is terrible. Please don't watch it. It's like, if you want to hate watch it, go ahead. But like, I'm just saying, please don't. I
usually don't practice hate watching. I usually go off
I think it's called Winx the Fate Saga. It's like a dead serious, like Riverdale, like Sabrina Killing Adventures kind of thing. But yeah, they did Winx Club. They've been trying to get like that live action Powerpuff Girls off the ground, but like it's so bad.
No one will take it.
It's so like it, yeah, like
I'm just saying this, and I say this with CW specifically. You want to turn what's essentially superpowered kindergartners into a teenage drama.
Oh no, it's not even teenage drama. They're like young 20-somethings.
Okay, that's slightly better, not by much.
See,
but...
I will say, devil's advocate. I think the idea of like Powerpuff Girls all grown up and like dealing with like they've been these superheroes for so long, like I think it's a good idea. And under the right hand, it could probably be interesting. The problem is modern writers have no idea of nuance and subtlety.
Well, a lot of them are like storyboardish or like not.
No,
like,
what the fucking problem with these shows is they're designed by fucking committee, and like they just go on a whiteboard. They detail these plot and events, and by hell or high water, they got to connect these events because that's really where the problem you have run into is when
I agree.
When you concept a story off of beats, off of like, okay, this happens, then this happens. Sometimes really where you get lost is the connective tissue, and this is a problem that I've run into, and I consider myself a better writer than any of those hacks in Hollywood, and I struggle with it. To where
if this is anything to go by,
really
then I definitely agree. If this is anything to go by.
Oh, even that one's not perfect, but it is pretty good. It's probably my best work yet. But even that's not perfect. Trust me, I've gotten some really good feedback off of it, and I'm doing my best to incorporate it, going forward. So if you're out there and you've given me feedback about Screecher, just know I've heard you, and I'm doing my best to incorporate it. And that's my thing. I try to be open to feedback. If anyone's going to come at me with like reasoned, well-meaning critique, that's fine. I just don't like the critique just to critique, or like the critique as entertainment. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother rant.
Definitely, and it's just what's the most delicate way to phrase this? If you didn't get approved in Hollywood, first of all, Hollywood's not for everyone. Some would say not getting in Hollywood is a blessing. You can do your own thing. You don't have to follow the norm.
Nowadays, yeah, for sure. Like, definitely nowadays, yeah.
You don't have to follow the mainstream. You can go indie. You can go... Well, I can't guarantee anime and manga, but I can definitely guarantee indie. Try your own thing. Start your Indiegogo's.
I mean, hell, animation is starting to get to the point where indie animation is becoming viable. Like seriously, I think there is enough like freelance talent, and the tools are so cheap and easy that like I think in the next like 5 to 10 years we will see a rise of like more indie animation on places like YouTube. Like we've already kind of seen it. Like for example, Ruby really was an independent animation at first. Rest in peace, Matium.
Moment of silence.
But yeah, I think indie animation is like, there's like if you go on YouTube, like there's so much. I mean, YouTube can pretty much kill its animation scene, but like you got stuff like TikTok is kind of bringing it back. I'm just like, there's so many animators out there that just want to do content. I do think the quality is going to get there. I think the quality is really close to getting to like truly professional level. I think we're right on the cusp of that.
Definitely. And I'm just speaking out of my head here, but I personally believe that just do your own thing. You don't have to follow the beat of someone else's drum. Definitely.
Nope.
I mean, just work on your craft, build yourself up. That way, once you do get out there, once you do garner something, you have something to work towards. And you have let
me give you this nugget of wisdom. All right. The most successful people are not the ones who have walked. The most successful people never walk the path that everyone else has walked. The most successful people literally make their own path. The trailblazers. They are the ones who are most successful. They create the trail that everyone. Because honestly, we're all copycats. We're all just fucking copycats. We all just kind of see what works and then we go from there. I'm guilty of this. Jay Heat's guilty of this. We're all guilty of it.
To an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent, I agree. It's an objective truth.
Mm-hmm.
And Fitzmartin, if you just so happen to be watching this, nothing against you, but for you especially, learn to take criticism. You're gonna have pushback, especially if you're working for an established commercial IP. Sometimes you just have to take the dots on the chin. Sometimes you just do. Not everyone's gonna like what you're doing, but if you show a little bit of grace and your best foot forward, at the very least, they'll respect you for it.
Mm-hmm.
I would give this advice to Dan Slott as well, but if I did that, that would be a rant in of itself.
He's probably already blocked you. I mean, at this point, being blocked by Dan Slott is a badge of honor. So,
amen to that.
mm-hmm.
Amen to that. But yeah, this was a great first issue, and I can't wait to see what is next. Unfortunately, I didn't have the money to get myself established on the cover, but I will definitely consider that higher tier on the next campaign.
Oh, well, I look forward to it.
And I already talked about Miss Martin. I already mentioned my Tim Drake video coming up. Hopefully, I can get that collaborated on. Oh, right. Hold on. Give me a second. What would you say is your favorite Kamen Rider Super Sentai Tokusho series? I probably butchered that.
Tokusatsu is how you pronounce it.
Tokusatsu, thank you.
So I'm a huge Toku fan, so it's like, I'm really Kamen Rider's my favorite, but it's probably the best way to do it would probably be my top 3 of kind of like the major ones. So my top 3 Kamen Riders are No Order, Phase, Decade, and W. My top 3 Sentais are Go-Onger, Deca Ranger, Gokaiger, Go-Onger, and then Deca Ranger. Never really was much of an Ultraman fan. As far as like old school Godzilla films, obviously Final Wars, probably the OG Godzilla, and then I don't know. I like Godzilla, but it's like not my main thing. I do like the legendary MonsterVerse ones, but that's a different thing. Never really got too much into Metal Heroes, but I do like Space Sheriff Goblin. Let's see here. Yeah, trust me, I can tell. I'm a huge Kamen Rider fan.
Definitely. And I rewatched Dragon Knight because last time I saw a piece of Kamen Rider media was essentially Dragon Knight from the mid-2000s.
Here's what you need to do. You need to go onto Tubi and you need to start watching Kamen Rider Kuga.
Kamen Rider Kuga.
Yeah, so Kamen Rider goes in like phases, kind of like Godzilla. So the Showa era is 1971 to like some of the 90s, because like to like the early 90s, because it goes off the Japanese emperors. And you have Heisei, which is 2000. They brought back Kamen Rider in 2000 with Kuga, and they've been doing it every year since. It went like 2000 to 2009, and then you have Neo Heisei. I know some people call it Heisei Phase 1, Phase 2, but I just call it Neo Heisei. Neo Heisei started with Kamen Rider W, which is an amazing series. That actually got an anime recently that was amazing. Futo PI. And then that ended with, I believe, ZO, which was kind of like Decade, like another anniversary series. And now we're in the, I'm going to butcher this, so Reiwa era, because the Heisei Emperor abdicated, and so we're in like a new era of Japan. But yeah, so Kuga was the first of the Heisei era, and they've been bringing Kamen Rider over to the U.S. now, and you can actually watch Ryuki as well, the inspiration for Dragon Knight on Tubi. Other than that, as far as if you're not going to go the fan sub piracy route, you just want official, Kamen Rider Amazons, which is like a dark and gritty reimagining of Kamen Rider Amazon for the 70s. That is on Amazon Prime. I know, funny. And then you can also get Kamen Rider the First, which is like a dark and gritty reimagining of the first Kamen Rider. That came out on DVD in like the mid 2000s. Actually, I own a copy of it. Yeah, then Dragon Knight's actually really hard to find unless you have. I think it's on YouTube. I actually have like digital copies of it on my computer. I'm not getting rid of those.
But I do remember the Masked Rider, well, the backdoor pilot for Masked Rider during a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episode.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. So, Masked Rider was based off of Black RX, which was like the last show of the show era. Like technically Black RX is like a Heisei series because it did come out after.
So it's after the Heisei era. So it's after the original show era, but before Kuga.
Yeah. So what the fans do is, and they made a couple of Kamen Rider movies in the 90s, like J, ZO, and whatnot. I think there might have been Shin, J, and ZO. Those are the three Kamen Rider movies. Those tend to be grouped into the Showa era, just because Ishimori. The creator of Kamen Rider, Shotaro Ishimori, who actually also created Super Sentai, by the way, he actually had a hand in those movies. Because Ishimori, I believe, was involved in like the early process of creating Kuga, but he died at least a year or two before Kuga came out. Like I think he was involved in like the early stages of developing Kuga. But he died for like 98 or something, I think. I can't remember. I don't have off the memory off the top of my head.
He must have been part of some very great work.
Yeah, actually, like Shotaro Ishimori was a mangaka. He actually studied under Tezuka, the Godfather manga, the creator of Astro Boy. Like he was actually a direct protege of Tezuka. And Ishimori actually created a bunch of manga on his own, like Skullman. Like Skullman was actually the inspiration for Kamen Rider, and that because he created Kamen Rider in 1971, and then 1975-76 created Sentai with Go Ranger. I'm sorry, like I know so many like facts and nuances,
No, not at all, man. Because hey, we didn't get a touch of Super Sentai, which is essentially Power Rangers, until 1993, and I believe that was the 16th installment, 16th,
yes.
17th.
Yeah, 16th installment. So, fun fact: the Super and Super Sentai didn't actually come along until like roughly like season 3, which was the season. Let's see here. You got Battle Fever J, which actually was so like 79, 80, 81. Marvel and Toei had entered into a partnership where they exchanged ideas. So that's how you got the Japanese Spider-Man with his own robot, Leopardon, which, by the way, was the direct inspiration because the first Sentai series didn't have robots. They didn't get that till Battlefield J, which, by the way, was based off of the Avengers. Yeah.
Wait. I just want to share it. You essentially have Super Sentai Spider-Man. This was like 79 to 81. The Toei Marvel partnership. And that's how
there are 3 seasons that are directly that are the result of that partnership. You got Battlefield J, then you got Sun Vulcan, as well.
Oh, so yeah.
No, wait. No. The 3 seasons that were made as part of it was Battle Fever J, Denji Man, and then Sun Vulcan, and then that was kind of the end of the partnership.
Yeah, because that was a 3-year agreement, and like Power Rangers, Super Sentai usually runs about a year in production or serialization.
Roughly a year. So basically, each season is about 40-ish episodes.
40th episode. That's about a little under 8 months and some change. But yeah, definitely. Huh.
Yeah.
And you said one of your favorite was O Ranger. I believe that one was going to be the inspiration of Zeo.
Well, no, I said no. There's Kamen Rider Z-O.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It confuses me as well. Um, so just to kind of give you, Go Wanter was the inspiration for RPM. Deca Ranger was SPD. It was actually called Space Patrol Deca, by the way.
oh.
And then Go Kaiger was the inspiration for Super Mega Force.
I honestly, I would, if I didn't know any better, I would dare say they just combined 2 seasons with a Sentai into one.
They did, actually. So,
What?
yeah. So the Mega Force is actually based off of Go Sager, which was like based off of Angels. And then the next season after Go Sager was Go Kaiger, which was a pirate theme season, and it was also an anniversary season. So basically, the Gokaigers had the Ranger keys, and Gokaiger is so much better. Like I really urge you, like go seek out Gokaiger and watch it. You will love it. It's so good. It is so.
So let me get this straight. Most of the anniversary material and footage was from Go Kaiger and Go Side and Go Saiger. Go Kaiger.
Go Sager.
Go Sager, excuse me. Most of the anniversary material was from Go Sager, but Go Kaiger was the season before that and was self-contained.
Flip it the other way around. Go Sager was the one that came before it was self-contained, and Go Kaiger was well, actually it's pronounced Go Kaija.
Go Kaija.
I'm like that's the Japanese kind of like for example Juken Sentai Julenja. That's how you say the Mighty Morph like
Zoo Ranger.
It's like Jew, like Jewish. You gotta get that. Okay, I was about to say something that would be kind of semi-racist, so I was like, nope.
Zoo Ranger, but
yeah, because they usually have like for example for its Juken Sentai Julenja. And it's basically because Sentai is like squadron in Japanese. So like they have something Sentai and then the name. That's usually how it goes. For example, Gokaiger is Kaizo Sentai Gokaija. It's Pirate Sentai Gokaiger.
So, okay. Viacom and the Neo Saban era aside, why not just focus on the
Viacom had nothing to do with Power Rangers. That was basically Saban. Saban was the people who originally brought over Power Rangers, and they sold to Disney in like the mid 2000s, and then you had like the Disney era.
Disney era.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Saban bought back the rights in like 2010 with and then they eventually sold it to Hasbro. But basically, Nickelodeon was just like the distribution. Like they aired Power Rangers. They
had no control of that situation.
That was all Saban.
But still, don't you think? Okay, Mighty Morphin was specifically crafting 3 seasons together like a trilogy. There was a narrative structure to what Mighty Morphin was going through.
That wasn't their intention at first, because at some point, Saban actually commissioned Toei to create new footage for
Power
new
Rangers.
like it's the one that's fandom is called the Zoo 2 footage. And not all of it was used, but like they used a lot of it. Eventually they eventually just brought in like other seasons because they needed new toys, they needed new stories, but they kept the suits. I would argue the Mighty Morphin team actually did a pretty good job with the writing of weaving together, because in season 2 it was just 2 seasons. Like the White Ranger is actually from a completely different series than Mighty Morphin. Yeah.
But why not
Goshin Sentai Dairanger, which was based off of Chinese mythology. And then season 3, like for example, Ninjords from season 3, the Ninja Zords, you know, like that's why when they got to Zeo, they just kind of like, okay, we're just gonna adapt each season now.
Okay. So the Aquatar Rangers were basically from the third Sentai they were adapting, like
The
18th.
Aquatar Rangers are the Ninkenger, the Ninkengers.
What did you say?
Ninkengers. Like
Yeah.
no, fuck.
I thought you said something else, man.
No, I didn't say that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the confusion. Wait, are we okay?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I
didn't say that. I sorry.
No, you're good. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, I butchered the name, but what I said is the Ninkengers. You know, like just
okay, like okay, ninjas. Okay.
Yeah, now that you can hear the K, I think you can like okay. I mispronounced it, but like, no, they're called the Kaku Rangers. Sorry, I'm stupid. Yeah, it's Ninja Sentai Kaku Ranger, which was a Ninja Sentai series. So, yeah.
Now you got Hurricaneger, which would go on to be the inspiration of Ninja Storm. I think you're the one you just mentioned. I think that was Ninja Steel's inspiration.
Yeah. So like the next one I'm gonna announce, like, so I'm gonna make an awkward moment. The next, like the Ninja, like that is the one where if you mispronounce it, it could be awkward.
Yeah, that one would go on to be the inspiration of Ninja Steel, apparently.
Yes, that is correct.
Didn't they have an anniversary special where they brought Hurricaneger back?
Yeah, they did a Hurricaneger 10 years later series. They've actually done that a couple times. There's a Deca Ranger 10 years later. There's a Gokaiger 10 years later. They've done that a couple times. It's pretty nice, honestly. Yeah, the Hurricanegers are actually a pretty popular series in Japan. Like Hurricaneger is pretty popular. Something here. Gokaiger is really popular. Like they kept like honestly, because like they do like movies every year and like crossover movies. They just kept bringing the Gokaigers back. Like they just kept doing it. Like you can really tell what series are popular by like what gets spin-off movies and like what gets which ones keep
specials, stuff like that.
Like for example, I know like for example, Denno, Kamen Rider Denno is an insanely popular Kamen Rider series. They did a whole spin-off trilogy called they brought in like where like they did a new Denno movie. They did a whole trilogy of spin-off movies called like Cho Denno episode Blue Yellow. The problem is the actor who played Ryoto is like an insanely popular actor in Japan now, so it's really hard to get him back. Same thing with I know the actor for Forze is really popular. They eventually got him to come back because he's really popular. Basically, the actor for Kuga, he's kind of like the Ninth Doctor, where it's like he doesn't hate Kamen Rider. It's like the Ninth Doctor. Like the Ninth Doctor doesn't hate Doctor Who. He loves the fans. He loves his time, but he doesn't feel like coming back. The actor for Kuga is kind of the same. But they did get the actor for Ryoto to come back for Heisei Generations Forever, which is a really good crossover movie. And they've had other the actor for Decade comes back all the time, and I love it. But like Decade is like a writer who crossovers into other writers' worlds. So it's like he's got like the perfect plot device for him to just randomly show up in a crossover movie.
Definitely. That definitely sounds like a lot. But
I love Decade. I love it.
But I remember with the Hasbro era, Dino Fury, where Dino Charge. Excuse me, Dino Charge.
Dino Charge is Neo Saban.
Oh, thank you, Neo Saban. Thank you, Dino Charge. And basically, I heard the reason they didn't use the Talon Ranger suit was because they were making Zed comparisons, like it was too scary.
And then I just brought back Zed. So, well, to be fair, that was a Hasbro decision. Wait. Yeah, that was Hasbro because that was during the Hasbro era.
Yes, when it goes into Supercharge for its second season, I think that was during the transition to Hasbro.
No, the Hasbro season was during the Beast Morphers era.
Oh, Beast Morphers onward. Okay.
Beast Morphers onward. Yeah, fun fact. So they actually went out of order to do the Beast Morphers.
Really?
Because Go Busters.
Oh, the train one.
No, you're thinking of Tokuger. Sorry, Tokuger never got adapted.
Okay.
The Go Busters, which is like a spy secret agent kind of Sentai, that actually came after Gokaiger. Like they actually skipped Go Busters.
For a few years, trying to get back to the dinosaur.
Yeah, because it was Go Busters, and then it was Kyuger, which was Dino Charge, which Kyuger is a really popular Sentai. Fun fact. Go Busters actually is a tribute to Mighty Morphin because they're the thing is when they activate the thing, it said the wrist singer says it's Morphin time, and they go let's Morphin, and they actually call their robot Zords in that series.
Oh, I thought that was just I thought that was strictly in Beast Morphers. I didn't know that was a tribute.
Yeah, and but the thing is, in Sentai, they usually call it like Robo or Mecha. Zords was a completely American creation, and
Like
the
titanium power.
Yeah, the titanium. The Ranger himself was a completely American creation. I think they had a Sentai Zord they could use in the footage, and then they also created new Rangers for Jungle Fury, the Masters, Jungle Fury Masters.
Really?
Yeah,
titanium was just the only one.
No, they actually did it during the Disney era. They created the Jungle Masters were more tertiary Rangers, whereas the Titanium Ranger was a straight up Six Ranger. Okay, so I was thinking. Fun fact. So the series. Sorry, I'm so full of knowledge.
So many fun facts today. You're good.
So, Lost Galaxy was actually based off of like more of a jungle nature series show. There wasn't really that many space elements to Lost Galaxy.
Guy Ranger.
I don't think that's the name.
Probably butchered it.
Lightspeed Rescue was Go-Go 5. I can remember that.
Okay.
Lost Galaxy. I'm used to know all this stuff off the top of my head. Ginga Man. It's Ginga Man.
Oh, Ginga Man. Okay. I thought it was Guy Ranger. You know, like Gaia.
Die Ranger. You might be thinking of Die Ranger.
Maybe.
Die Ranger was the season 2 of Mighty Morphin.
Didn't the Boom Comics go on to make them like Squadron from like a Ranger team?
Technically, they did that in Jungle in
Mega Force.
Yeah, and it was really bad. They actually brought over a couple different pre-Zoo Ranger suits. Like I know they brought in like Live Man, like a bunch of like you can like a bunch of like the 80s Power Ranger suits. It was really funny.
And I heard Samurai Sentai had a much better story than Samurai itself.
Well,
more culturally rich story.
Well, no. I mean, what they did for Samurai is they literally just copy and pasted the Sentai scripts and in like straight up adaptation, literally to the point where they credited the Japanese writers on each episode.
Really?
Yeah, it's practically a 1-for-1 translation of the Sentai.
Even the RPM crossover?
That was, I mean, well, to be fair, that one, they actually used footage because basically every year they do a Sentai crossover movie where like the previous season teams up with the current season.
Yes.
And so they actually use footage from 2 different movies. They used footage from the RPM and Shinkenger cross up the Go-Onger Shinkenger. Shinkenger is samurai. And they also then each Sentai actually gets its own standalone movie. I think they used it from the crossover, like the shark disc. Like the shark disc was actually from the movie, I believe.
So it was from that season's particular movie, not the crossover movie itself.
They actually did use footage from both.
Oh,
yeah, and I believe, like it's not official, but like it's pretty much an open secret that Eka Darville went under a stage name because like during the Disney era they were union, but when they came to Bond they were non-union, so Eka couldn't really, like, if you actually watch the episode, it's very clearly it's Eka Darville's voice, because Eka Darville has like a very distinct voice.
But he went under a pseudonym when it comes to credit the episode.
Yeah, and like in conventions, I think they've pretty much like they talk about it like they don't, like, it's just kind of like like they've pretty much all gone out and pretty much said it at conventions and whatnot. So it's like open secret.
Well, with all that Super Sentai fun facts out of the way, what do you think of the Power Rangers 30th anniversary special on Netflix?
It hasn't aired yet.
Well, from what we've seen in promo material.
Looks good. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to put in some Tommy tribute. Like, it'll probably be like dedicated to the memory of, I'm glad that they're finally acknowledging Tree, which, personal fun fact, me and Tree share a birthday. We were born on the same day, just not the same year.
How many years are y'all apart?
I don't know exactly. But I know we were born on the same day. That is for certain. Yeah. I mean, they brought back David Yost, who, by the way, I have met and I have morphed with. He's kind of an ass, but, it's cool. I've met Karen Ashley. So he's a sweetheart. Let's see here. Yeah. Like, it's gonna. I think it's gonna be nice. Honestly. I wish they'd kind of make it a full-on movie, but I guess it's just gonna be like a hour-long special kind of thing. But it is. I'll take what I can get. Definitely. I just hope that it seems like Netflix is now the home of Power Rangers. I just hope that we get more adult content for Power Rangers. Because there's like just such a wide tapestry of like lore and stories you could tell with like all the different seasons of Power Rangers. It's really, really a shame because we could have gotten a live action Shattered Grid with Jason David Frank, but unfortunately he passed.
Who's to say we wouldn't get in an animated form?
Yeah, but even if he's not voicing it, it just won't be the same. Like, I don't know. Did you ever see that live action promo where they actually got?
I saw that promo.
That was fucking amazing. That was fucking amazing. Like, seriously, I would pay good money for that. Sorry.
I'll give you a minute to compose yourself.
They even got Ron Wasserman to come back and do the music for it. Sorry.
So if they actually did, if they did a special tribute movie of Shattered Grid based on that promo footage and put it in theaters, would you be the first to go see it?
If Jason David Frank was Lord Draken, and they brought back like other Rangers, hell fucking yes.
Like, you would camp in the movie theaters for days.
No, that's not necessary. I'm not opposed to like getting like just so you know, I'm one of those people who when Force Awakens came out, I actually did see it opening night, and I did wait in line. I had tickets, but like, I was in a long line for about an hour.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, like I don't like, and it's like I've attended midnight launches of video games; those are fine. But like, I don't know. There's no need to camp out, especially if like your thing is already purchased. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of the time nowadays, these midnight launches are just to pick up your pre-order. Like, by the time you get there, your thing is already paid off. You know, and they're fun. They're fun. You know,
Definitely. Power Rangers. All right. What else? What else?
yeah, we have been kind of going on for a while.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call it.
All right.
Nick, what your platforms and what you got coming up on the channel?
All right, so I have I got my Super Split Screen brothers. Are going to be doing our format expansion here soon, continuing the Let Play, and then I'm also me and my team are hard at work on Turn Samurai issue 3, so that should be nice.
Thank you, Nick. Phoenix Press, thank you for coming out. As for myself, you will see more Swirl Tour Let's Plays. I had to take a week off due to family concerns. Also, I'm going to actually start making active videos again, starting with Tim Drake's new persona, Night Owl, how that could work, and a brief summary or a brief discussion, and a Red X video. I definitely want to do a Red X video talking more so about the character and its iconography, and maybe some Jason Todd Easter eggs in the mystery of the original series. Nick, would you be down to collab for that?
Not sure. Put me down as a maybe.
All right, maybe. I'm still writing the script for that video, so you're looking at least a month in the future before I even.
Ask me when it gets closer. I can't say yes or no at the moment.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, thanks for. It was a pleasure to have you, Nick, as well as the rest of the Comics League Brotherhood. Y'all are welcome anytime.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Like, comment, and subscribe. That was Phoenix Press, everyone. Oh, there we go. Have a good one.